the Digimon manual stream. Well, Botluck Productions reference manual stream. We're having a bit of a change of schedule. Normally I do these on Monday, sometimes Tuesday. If you're wondering why we've had to change it to a Wednesday, something came up, real IRL, so I had to move it back. I do apologize about that. These things do happen. Thank you, phone. So, any news or updates I wanted to bring up? I do apologize about that. One big thing I wanted to bring up as a fan of this is the Digimon Rumble Arena HD remake, Project Digimon, at DRA Remake. Currently, they have just, from what I understand, they've just started up their account on X. They also have an account on Blue Sky, if I recall. Regardless, I'm going to post into comments and chat. This is a fan project that I have been following. And yeah, this is one of those... Let's see. I'm going to put this right here. Yeah, I was a big fan of Rumble Arena back in the day. And I would like to see where they go with the project. I've been following them for a little bit. I believe they're also working on a fan remake of Digimon World, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, I wanted to bring this up because at some point I would like to look at Digimon Rumble Arena, both 1 and 2, for review purposes. And depending on how things go, I may even want to look at their remake, just to show like there is still interest in this. As for the Xbox, I almost said GameCube. As for the Xbox 360 fighting game, let's keep it to Digimon, the Digimon Rumble Arena on PS1 and PS2. Other than that, not much in the way of updates. Next couple streams schedule might be wonky. Again, IRL is coming up. As for other news, the review of the Discotheque movie is still moving. It's been pushed back a little bit, again, due to IRL stuff. Not much I can really do there. As for the stream, now for those who have just started here, my name is Botluck Productions. I do reviews. I also look at the Digimon reference manual and give a commentary on the Digimon. Things I like, things I don't like, what I would change, these sort of things. So, the way how this works is, I look at a design, I say what I like about the design, what I dislike about the design, and what I would change about the design. I have to say at least one thing that I like, one thing that I dislike, and one thing that I would change. I can't be vague about it. I can't say, oh, it's a terrible Digimon. I have to, if I go that route, I have to explain, well, why doesn't it work? Why doesn't this element work? That sort of thing. We're kind of working on through the champions. I'm also will read the bio of the Digimon, as sometimes the bio does help. As for the Armor Digivolutions, that's going to be another specific type of stream. Given how many Digimon there are, these streams do take some time. It took us a while to get through the rookies. So, yeah. So, without further ado, it's probably best that we continue on. Dark Tyrannomon. A dinosaur Digimon whose body has eroded by a malicious computer virus. Originally a Tyrannomon-type Digimon, Dark Tyrannomon was infected by a malicious virus that caused the data composing its body to bug out and transfigure it into a frenzied creature. Its body has been dyed black, and its arms have grown even stronger than those of Tyrannomon, increasing its attack power. Dark Tyrannomon has become absolutely ferocious and treats everything its eyes spot as an enemy to attack. It uses a special move, Fire Blast, to shoot a super powerful flame that transforms the surrounding area into a sea of fire. So, we have a recolor of Tyrannomon, although due to alphabets, it did come up first. From a design aspect, I do like the dark coloring. interesting little element. We're having the traditional, you see it a lot in early Digimon, but it does still pops up from time to time, the multitude of belts. You see that if you play any Final Fantasy, this is very common, but here we see again the belts on the hands. From a design standpoint, I do like the red on black. It almost gives it a feel that it's been attacked. So I do like these red stripes on it. The white chest, although I'm assuming, yeah, it is white. I'm dealing with the weird colors. The white chest is a bit unusual, but it does fit to Digimon. It's interesting that they added metal caps to the claws. I wouldn't have expected that. Things I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the green spikes on the back. It certainly breaks up the color, but I almost think maybe a bit too much. I know it's a holdover from Tyrannomon, but I think in this case it would have been better to make them red or some other color. As for what I would change, I would almost want to omit the green spikes, or perhaps even change them to black spikes. I don't think these are a necessary inclusion. I would probably also omit the belts. Make this either a simple belt or just omit it entirely. I'm not a big fan on the big amounts of belts. Those can kind of clutter a design. So again, let's go over things I like. I like the red stripes. Things I don't like the green fin spines. And things I would change, I would probably omit the spines and either simplify the belts or just remove them. Thoughts? And as always, I will say that this is an audience participation stream, so if you wish to add anything, you may. I'll give it about 30 seconds so that we can rest. I do that to kind of ease up my throat, for those who haven't been here before. So again, comment if you wish. And with that, 30 seconds have passed, and we will move on to the next Digimon. We've got Dark Tyrannomon X Antibody. We're going to skip through the main line because we've already just read it. The X Antibody has given Dark Tyrannomon X Antibody the composure it needed to control its power, along with the capacity to persevere so it can live through a fight. It also gained the ability to solidify parts of its body and produce green flames by manipulating the virus within it. Its special move is Flame Snatch, where it grabs hold of an enemy with its claws and then burns them with a green flame. So, sort of a build-up from Dark Tyrannomon. Again, we're dealing with odd X-Antibody art designs. This is something you see with a lot of X-Antibody Digimon. They have a tendency to complicate how they look. Not just, they added Greeble. They've complicated how the Digimon is posing and what they're showing, and this can cause problems. It can make it a bit hard to read. In this case, it is a little, I can see what they're doing. It's Tyrannomon crouching down. So things about the design I like. I like that they added the X. This is something I kind of feel that a lot of X antibody designs miss. So I like that they've added in the X to the design. The green, they make it look more like Tiberium. Here, I think it works because it does give the idea of this is a changed monster. And with the coloring, it reminds me of the Brotherhood of Nod from Command & Conquer. Nice, yeah. Like if Kane was in Digimon, I can see this being one of his followers, just from the Tiberium on his tail and back. This feels like a Digimon that would be in Command & Conquer, and I like that. I like the green. Again, we got extra metal, and they actually removed the belts for more metal bands, so kudos to that. things about the design, things I like the inclusion of the Tiberium. I like that they turn the spines into more like crystals, again, like Tiberium. Things I don't like, while I do like the red X, I almost wonder if it would have worked better if it was green. Because again, this is more crystalline and you got these extra crystal elements. I think it would work better if this was connected, like this was green. As for what I would change, I would change the red X to a green X, and I might even suggest adding green crystals to the claws to give it an additional, this is a virus using its power. Again, I'm going into the Command and Conquer-S aspect of this, but it really does remind me of the Brotherhood of Nod from Command and Conquer. Insert Cain lives. Peace through power. Cain lives in death. Anyway, so to recap, I like the design. I like that it adds in, they implement the green into almost like shards, and it reminds me a lot of Tiberium. I like that they have the X. What I would change is what I don't like is that the X is red, and I would have made that green. As for what I've changed, make that X green, and also add crystals to the talons. And I'm going to say this gets the perfect, because it's such a good design. Maybe I'm pulling a Command and Conquer bias, but I like this design. Like if I were doing a Command and Conquer Digimon crossover, I would use this Digimon. Well, with that, 30 seconds. Also, it's nice to see you again, Renamon565. Good to see ya. Let me drink some water. And with that, we're going to move on to the next Digimon. And that is Deadly Axemon. A sworn younger brother that exchanged cups of brotherhood with Skull Knightmon. This brawny warrior boasts fast movements and endless stamina. Deadly Axemon is loyal to Skull Knightmon and battles with faith in its sworn brother to achieve victory. Its lightning-fast movements earned it the nickname of Running Lightning, and it leaves after images at top speed. That being said, precise movements are Deadly Axemon's weak point. Its linear actions are easily read by foes and often collides with obstacles. Still, seeing its sturdy frame smash through such obstacles with defiant, thunderous roar is reason enough to justify its nickname. Deadly Axemon uses its special move Air Slicer to dive between opponents at light speed and slice them up without them noticing. Or Aqua Rage to spit a powerful solution that melts everything. It also uses a stronger move called Aqua Regia to liquefy itself and swallow up everything around it. So we got a Cross Wars Digimon, which can be at times. From what it looks like, this is a quadruped that just kind of runs. Going off the description, it reminds me of, in Kirby Air Ride, there was a star that it would keep going straight, and the only way to change direction was to charge it. Forgot the name of it. It's been a while since I played Kirby Air Ride, and no, I'm not playing the next one. As for design, things I like. I do like that they give this feeling of like a quadruped monster. It reminds me a lot of... So in Shadow the Hedgehog, one of the bosses you fight is Egg Dealer, and it's this quadruped mech that Eggman has, and it kind of, you have to chase around it. And this in a way reminds that, this quadruped thing that moves fast and you have to chase it. So I like that aspect of the design. What I don't like is I kind of feel they may have went a bit overboard with the spikes. I feel that that's kind of unnecessary. I think you can omit some of the spikes and you'd still get a good design. As for what I would change, in addition to giving this better artwork, because this is a bit hard to read, I would probably want to emphasize more the speed, probably adding maybe some wheels of some kind, something to show that this thing races. They also bring up a lot of the aqua aspect, and it doesn't read that in the design. I would say maybe add some elements of like aquatic or liquid elements, liquid metal in the design, just to emphasize that. It's an okay design, but it's not one I would really use. It looks like a mount for Nightmon, if I'm going to be honest. So, things I like the quadruped element. What I dislike, I think they went a bit overboard with the spikes. And what I would change is maybe add some of that liquid metal aspect to it. 30 seconds. And I do want to say, because I keep forgetting to say this, what I bring up with these designs, that's just my opinion, and I could be very wrong in these opinions. So if I'm bad-mouthing a Digimon that you like, I'm so sorry. I'm just a guy with a stream. I kind of give what I kind of feel of the designs. If it's a design you really like and you think I'm wrong, bring it up into the chat. Like I said, I like having audience interaction. Decadramon, we got another Cross Wars Digimon. Decadramon is perhaps the natural enemy of all flying Digimon. Its greatest threat is the Decadra launcher on its back, from which it can fire multiple types of anti-air missiles to shoot down any Digimon that flies. What's more, its short stature makes it hard to spot from above, which is another thing flying Digimon have difficulty dealing with. Decadramon performs best in terrain that features a lot of cover because it's difficult to tell where its attacks are coming from. When it doesn't have a lot of cover, Decadramon will create a smoke screen using its Smoky Fang ability. Decadramon isn't limited to anti-aerial combat either. In land-based battles, it can smash its opponents to pieces with a single blow, losing heavy tail look. Okay, so basically we have a mobile Sam. And as someone that likes military history, it's interesting that they went with that route. So, going with that in mind, I can see now the heavy missiles that this is again a SAM site. I will say, knowing about SAMs, let me bring up different SAM systems that exist, because I think they kind of missed the mark on this. So let me give up some design, because I understand, because right now this just kind of reads lizard with rockets. And while I like the more militarized aspect of Digimon, like I thought this was, for the longest time, I thought this was a D Brigade Digimon. Saying that it's an anti-air Digimon, I think they missed the mark on a few things. So, in the military, they do use anti-air missiles. These are called SAMs, surface-to-air missiles. That you usually... The famous one that the U.S. military uses is the Avenger, although I think we've changed it up to the I think we've since gotten rid of some of them. Going off of this design, I think they're taking influence from the Patriot. What I would have done, if you're going into the anti-air aspect... by the way, what I'll say is what I like about... I'm already skipping to what I change. What I like about it is it's a mechanic Digimon that really goes into anti-air. What I don't like is I think the tail is a bit excessive. I think just having a short tail is enough. And what I would change, this missile system, I would omit it. I would change this from missiles to something like, oh, let me bring it up. Something like this. For those who don't know, this is a Shilka. It's a Spag that the Soviet Union designed. Basically, they took 4 autocannons, put it on a turret, and said, fire all the lead. This thing was pretty effective to the point the U.S. military said, we want that, and they made the Sergeant York, and the Sergeant York did terribly. The reason I bring this up, to bring up the Shoka, I think what would work better with this Digimon is maybe remove the turrets and put something like a Shoka turret, or, because this is Japan, the JDSF has something called the gun cannon, aka the Type 87 self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. This little thing. This is, again, a spag. It's called the gun cannon because it looks like the gun cannon tank from Gundam. It is called that. And I think what they would have done better with this Digimon is have something like this turret with maybe some SAM missiles. Which, guess what? Is something that has been done. Something like that turret with the autocannon on it. And something like this, the Tunguska. This is what I would do with the design. For those who don't know, this is another spag. It's called a Tunguska. Russia uses them. They've had issues with them. Russia's Russia. Anyway, the big thing I say they should use something like this turret is because you've got the autocannons, which adds anti-aircraft guns. You also have the missiles. So, to me, what I would do with this Digimon, omit the missile turret and instead add something like the Tunguska or the gun cannon with these missile pods and put that on the back to really drive home this is an anti-aircraft thing. It's going to throw lead everywhere. We've talked a lot about this, and I just went all over about military equipment. So, to recap, what I like about the Digimon is, again, I like the mechanical element and the concept of an anti-air Digimon. What I don't like, I think the tail is a bit too long and doesn't add to the concept. And what I would change is change the turret, the missile system, from this to something like the Tunguska. Again, autocannons, and missiles. That's kind of what I would do. Otherwise, it's an okay design. We're going to give it 30 seconds. Especially since I did all that talk. Woo. Maybe one day what I need to do is do something like what Zack and Hazard do with Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, that wouldn't work. I'd have to mod it to have the weapons I want. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's just water. It keeps hydrated. So with that, we're going to go back. Deltamon. A composite Digimon fused from 3 Digimon, each existing as a separate Digimon, but a computer ran amok after getting hit by a powerful electromagnetic storm, bugging out and fusing them into Deltamon. A Digimon with 3 heads and 2 tails that specializes in 3-stage attacks utilizing these physical features, making it capable of taking on 3 Digimon at once. Still, each part of it was once a fiendish Digimon, so while they share a mindset for destruction, they have no spirit of cooperation, and are usually on bad terms. Deltamon uses its special move, Triple Forces, to unleash energy from all 3 mouths in a single blast, or Skull Fang to strike with the Digimon on its left arm. So, we basically got a Cerberus-esque Digimon. It reminds me a lot of early Godzilla designs, a lot of Godzilla monsters, and I can almost see Godzilla or Ultraman or really the Power Rangers fighting this much. No, I don't see the Power Rangers fighting this. I kind of see Ultraman or Godzilla fighting this. I like that they have 3 different heads. I think that was a great job to do. And it's not just, oh, it's the same head. No, it's 3 separate heads. 2 tails, again, different. They did a good job of saying these are multiple monsters. What I don't like, I think the blue color isn't enough. I think to really hammer in that these are different Digimon kind of working together, maybe make it triple colors to show that each part is really different than just, oh, it's hands. And for what I would change, I would make it more patchwork. Similar to, like, say, Chimeramon, where you've got these different parts kind of stitched together. You really have to work into that these are different Digimon stitched, and it doesn't feel like that. It just kind of feels like one guy with lobster claws. But yeah, I like the design. It feels like a Toho-esque monster. But but you really need to emphasize the different parts working together. No, not working together. This feels like the 3 parts have since come together. You really need to emphasize that this is an amalgamation, and it doesn't feel like that. So things I like that it feels like a Godzilla enemy. Things I don't like, it doesn't feel like it's conflicting enough. It feels like everything is 2 together. And what I would change is add a lot of conflicting colors to really show that this is a monster that should not be together. It is an amalgamation. Possibly even changing some of the things like feet to a different type of Digimon. But that's just me. So, 30 seconds. And again, I apologize about Decker German, about me fanning over military equipment. I like military equipment. Still trying to get back into the military. And of course, we got the ever-famous Deputymon, a mutant Digimon with a gun barrel for a body. Although the details of its creation are completely unknown, Deputymon's sense of justice makes it an active member of the Virus Busters. The Virus Busters are special Digimon what's wrong with me? The Virus Busters are special Digimon among virus types that eradicate the evil consciousness of virus Digimon with the ability to delete. Deputymon also loves gambling, especially Russian roulette. Its fairness is beyond reproach, and it will even let Virus Digimon get away if they win at this game. Its special move, Justice Bullet, transforms Deputymon itself into a gun that fires bullets of justice. Deputymon is one of those Digimon that whenever anyone says, oh, Pokemon is really safe, Digimon is gun. This is a surprisingly simple concept. Just gun everywhere. And I'm reminded on the early internet, there was a concept of a guy where he has like a chest that looks like a cylinder and he has a robotic arm, and if he wanted a shoot, his arm would go out like this and he'd look like a gun. People always lambast that's a terrible design, and I look at that and I look at this and it's, well, this is basically the same design. I do like this design. It leans into that. It's one of the early Digimon, and I do like it. It's got guns everywhere. It's itself a gun. It's got guns. It's gun. And I really like the design. So I like that they really went into it's a gun. Things I don't like. I think what I don't like about the design is, I think the gun chest maybe takes up too much. It certainly draws your eye, and I would think it would work to add some sort of like vest on the side to really emphasize deputy, because right now this just looks like a gunslinger. If I were to change this design, I would probably add something like a duster like a simple duster to emphasize this is a cowboy and not just a revolver. Or maybe even add a star to the hat to emphasize deputy or sheriff. As is, I'm going to give this the perfect. It's such an iconic Digimon that it's in a league of its own. And it's a fun thing to see just where Digimon goes with their design concepts. So things I like just the gun aspect. What I don't like, I think the gun, it goes a bit too much in the chest, and I think they should have added some sort of vest. And if I were to change it, I would probably add a star on the hat, or maybe even a duster. Again, it gets the perfect. 30 seconds. So how is everyone doing these days? That's the 30 seconds. Digimon. An evil dragon Digimon feared as the many-eyed demon. The demonic beast summoned from the dark area by the messenger of darkness, Devimon. No Digimon comes close to this creature in terms of sheer wickedness. Digimon has abnormally developed limbs for a Dramon species Digimon. It rakes at opponents with elongated arms and flits about the darkness with stout legs and wings. Evil incarnate, not an ounce of mercy resides in this creature's heart. Its 4 eyes burn a deep crimson. Those caught in Devidramon's gaze seize up, allowing it to hew them to pieces without resistance. Furthermore, the tip of its tail unfurls into talons that can skewer its opponent. The wicked feelings of hackers who exploit computer networks for their own selfish desire likely gave birth to this Digimon. Devidramon uses its special move, Crimson Claw, to cleave its foes with giant claws, tormenting them viciously. So, we've got a Demon Dragon Digimon. Again, one of the early Digimons. It appeared in Digimon Adventure. It's interesting in that you already have a dino. Yeah, a dinosaur. A demon dinosaur. Looking at the design, I'm wondering if things like the head influenced Guillaumon, because you have this dragon head with wings. Which I see in some designs. It's a bit of a it might just be the artwork, because it is a little hard to read, because you got a lot of dark, and it might just be my computer. What I like about the design is, unlike Devimon, which is just your standard, it's like a demon, they really went in towards the more really demonic aspect. You know, dragons. In Western mythology, dragons are usually associated with demons. Blame the Bible, it comes down to association with the devil. So this is an interesting concept. What I don't like about the design is I think they went a bit too hard into the black coloring. For those who don't know, Devimon with the black covering almost comes off like a gimp. There's also another Black Bull from F-Zero. And I kind of feel they went to the same direction with Devidramon, and I feel they could have done a bit better. Maybe lean more into the draconic aspect, not so much the Devimon aspect. Because this really does feel like a side grade to Devimon. What I would change, I would probably add something to emphasize that the black on this isn't so much like a suit or something, but more like skin. Add in scales, maybe even some kind of symbols on the chest, something to break up the black. It's a cool design, but I feel it's living in the shadow of Devimon, and it really needs to branch out from that. So things I like the concept of an evil dragon. What I don't like, I feel the black leans too much into Devimon and that aspect, and what I would change is lean more into the dragon aspect and maybe pull away from the black suit thing. 30 seconds. Comments? And with that, we move on to the next Digimon. Devimon. So, Devimon, a dark angel Digimon clothed in jet black garb. Devimon was once a illustrious Digimon of the Angemon species, but it became a dark angel when it fell into the warped space of the digital world known as the Dark Area, also called DeviantArt. The prominent mark of evil on its chest is proof of this. Though it has a cunning and a malevolent personality, Devimon is also extremely intelligent. It is said that any that stare into its glowing red eyes fall victim to its mind control and are dominated by Devimon. I don't know about that. Its special move is Death Claw, by which it pierces its opponent with 2 extendable arms. I like the demon design. Yeah, one thing I will say about Digimon, when it comes to their demon Digimon, they do an amazing job. It's certainly unique. Going into Devimon, things I like about this design, they really emphasize into that demon aspect. This dark, somewhat humanoid, but there are things wrong with it design. You've got it almost reminds me of a supervillain from something like, I think, some Kamen Rider designs or some Sentai, which I think was deliberate. The leather straps and stuff, normally I'm against, but I can kind of get that because a lot of things you see with demons is they're being binded. It's coming from Warhammer 40k. There's a model called the Demon Host, and they really emphasize this is a person that has had a demon put in them, and they're being held down in order to bind the demon to reality. So in this case, I'm okay with the excessive wraps. The skulls are a bit much. One thing I will say is they do lean a bit too much into the GIMP aesthetic. Although given where Lady Devimon goes, maybe it works. It does remind me of Devil Doom from F-Zero with the skull, with the horns, although I don't think that was deliberate. It's an interesting take on demons. What I don't like about the design, I think you could have gone. I think with the design, my problem with it is it leans too much into the GIMP kind of stuff. You already have all this leather holding him down and the chains and the locks. I don't think adding in the suit is necessary. That feels a bit excessive, especially with the chains and everything. I think a better design would be to do something like take an Angemon and show that, it's been chained down and it has the evil wings, rather than this. Although it is a striking design. What I would change, maybe add some reference to the old Angemon design. Maybe like the head has the Angemon helmet, but it's shattered and has, cracks. Maybe have it that, maybe add some of the design elements of Angemon into the design to show, yes, this is an Angemon that fell. So things I like that it's a different depiction of a demon. What I don't like, I think they leaned way too hard into the GIMP aesthetic, the BDSM aesthetic. And what I would change, add some of Angemon to it. Show that this was once an Angemon that fell. So, 30 seconds. And with that, we move on to the next design. Dexterugamon. Dexterugamon is an undead Digimon that bears a striking resemblance to the champion level of the Doru series, which involved experimenting on prototype Digimon in hopes of discovering further stages of Digivolution. It keeps functioning despite being dead by consuming the Digicores of other Digimon, and is still attempting to Digivolve. Its signature move is Cannonball. Are Holy and Dark types the most strongest types of Digimon? Signature move is Cannonball. Dexterugamon uses a special move, Metalcast, to pierce the foe with steel arm and pluck out their Digicore. It depends. Depending on what series of Digimon and what the storyline is doing, they'll sometimes vary over which type is strong. Because I know some of the Royal Knights, some of them lean more towards the holy aspect and they're strong. But there are other Digimon that are just, oh, it's a regular guy and it can take on the Royal Knights. So it really comes down to what storyline they're trying to say. In adventure, because they're really going into that, light and dark. Holy and dark types are some of the strongest Digimon. Something like Digimon Tamers, it's more neutral, where standard Digimon can be strong regardless of their good or evil, light or dark. Something like Frontier, it also complicates. So it really depends on what season of Digimon they're doing. Digimon World, arguably one of the strongest Digimon, is not a holy or dark, it's a machine. So it really depends on what the writers are trying to accomplish. As for Dexterugamon, I like Dorugamon just as a thing. What I like about so we have a design it's basically Frankenstein's monster, but a Digimon, well, specifically one of the Digimon. We've got another dragon kind of design. Looking at this, I kind of think that this is what Devidramon should have been. More of this monstrous being that is a demon. This leans more towards the undead aspect. And with that, I do like how they've added in this is an unnatural monster that is being held together with just horror. It's a horror Digimon. And I like that concept. You have aspects of Frankenstein's monster in the nuts and bolts, in this put together. It reminds me a lot of the game Carnival, where you have these monstrous things coming at you. And I like that. I like that they leaned into the monster aspect. What I don't like... Whoa. What I don't like... I don't like this tail. I think the tail is a bit excessive, and just having a standard stitched together tail would have worked. As for what I would change... I think if I were to change this, I would change the tail to maybe just one spark plug rather than multiples. And I may want to add some more stitches or things to show that this is poorly put together and resurrected. I will give it the... I'm going to give it the perfect for now, but that may just be me being that I like Dorugamon. It is a good design, and if I were doing a horror show, this would be the monster I would want to use. Kind of like Jurassic Park, where some of those dinosaurs you're supposed to be fearful. This kind of leans into that. 30. So things I like. I like the overall feel of it. I like this. It's a Digimon that's resurrected and held together with hopes and with fear and horror. I don't like the tail. I think this wire thing should have been changed. And if I were to change that, I would omit the tail. I would omit this and show that it's been stitched together poorly. And with that, and it gets the perfect, reluctantly. 30 seconds. But yeah, if there's things you want to talk about with Digimon, I can talk about it. Next up, we have Diatrimon. Diatrimon is an ancient bird Digimon with powerful legs referred to as a living fossil. What the? Its wings aren't broad enough for it to fly, so instead it relies on its strong leg muscles to run at speeds over 120 miles per hour. Extremely fierce, it views everything that moves as a threat to its that's naturally inclined to attack. What's more, since the feathers that cover its body contain metal, Diatrimon can shrug off all but the most powerful attacks. Its special moves include Mega Dash Impact, which involves performing a powerful body slam, and Destructive Roar, where it lets out a mighty screech that damages everything over a wide area. So I believe this is named after the Diatrix, or Diatric. I forgot what that fossil is, what that dinosaur fossil. These were basically terror birds. Ancient terror birds, giant birds that would... They're basically giant ostriches that were carnivorous. Very dangerous. Things I like about the design. I like that they went to the route of looking at old fossils and really taking that into account. You know, they didn't just go, oh, it's a T-Rex. No, we looked at something different. What I don't like is, and I will say what I like is I like the armored aesthetic. It does add this is a bit of a stronger animal than expected. What I don't like is the wings. The description says that the wings are supposed to be short and it can't fly. This doesn't feel like that. And if I were to change this, I would make these wings very small, almost like chicken nubs, just to emphasize that this thing has to run. As is, this feels like it can fly. And if I were to change this, I would almost omit these arms or make them very small and put more emphasis on the legs. Just to emphasize this is a land-based bird. Because right now, this feels more like a flyer. So to recap what I like that it's a dinosaur, but it's not the traditional dinosaurs, and they're going into the terror bird. I also like the armor aspect. What I don't like is they emphasize too much on the wings. And if I were to change this, make the wings smaller and emphasize more of the legs. So, 30 seconds. We're going to try and get this stream to about an hour's length. hold on real quick. I apologize about that. Something came up that I wanted to quickly look at. These things happen. Dimetramon. A reptile Digimon distinctive for the large, frilly fin on its back. Its dorsal fin has the special ability to quickly heal any wounds received in battle. Since its fin grows in size every time it heals, Dimetramon that have suffered through many struggles for survival tend to have massive fins. It may not look especially intelligent, but it shrewdly makes its body appear bigger by expanding its frilly scales. As its actual body is incredibly light, Dimetramon can move remarkably fast, taking enemies by surprise with its discrepancy between its appearance and its speed. Dimetramon can charge its dorsal fin with energy, then amplify that energy and spit out as a heat ray for its luminous heat move. For Sailing Spin, a move that can tear clean through stone, it utilizes its speed by springing into the air, spinning and attacking foes with its energized spin. So this is one of the newer Digimon that came out, relatively. And I like it just from it's a dinosaur, but Dimetramons are technically older than dinosaurs. They're actually closer to humans than dinosaurs. It's an interesting concept where they took the frilled ancient reptile but added in, frills. You can lean in towards this being feminine or masculine, and I do like that, especially where the line goes. It's a very unique design, especially for a reptile. As for things I like the inclusion of frills for the fin and things like the bows. Things I don't like, really, I don't know. I think I'll say I don't like the frills on the back of the tail. And if I were to change that, I would probably just make the fin go all the way down. But really, I don't have much to say about this design. It's a very good design. I'm going to give it the perfect. I like this Digimon design. It's cute, but it's also ferocious. It's a good design. It's well thought out. I like the fin on the back. I like the frilly aspect of it. I like that it's a cute Digimon. And the only thing I don't like is the frills on the tail, but that's about it. Like, they knocked it out of the park with this. I like this cute little Digimon. 30 seconds. And it gets the perfect. As a champion, it works as a champion Digimon. Especially when it comes from... Well, they don't lift it here. But yeah, I like it. It's a cute little Digimon. Dino-Humon. Dragon Man Digimon resembling a humanoid lizard. Dino-Human lives in an untamed land where every member of its fierce battle dragon tribe has the markings of a warrior. Heavily muscled, it swings its great sword Akinakis with ease. It uses its special move Lizard Dance to slice into foes with blades on its arms and Akinakas while seeming to dance. To me, this looks like a Ninja Turtle. And that's fine. The Ninja Turtles are pretty cool. I as a dragon thing, it remind. So for anyone who's never played Turok Dinosaur Hunter, there's a game called Turok Evolution, and one of the enemies you encountered was the Slan, I believed. They were basically lizard humanoids with guns. And this kind of reminds me that it's almost like a mix of Turok the human and those villains. So that it's an interesting concept. I like that. I like the pseudo tridable aspect. What I don't like is they've kind of complicated it with too many blades. I think they can do better by omitting some of these blades, like on the arms. I'd say remove those blades. As for the back, I can't tell. I really can't tell if this blade is some sort of big curve that comes down or if they're holding a separate blade. My problem with this design, too many blades. And if I were to change this, I would omit so many blades. Like, you don't... I've been to gun shows with less blades than this. With less ostentatious blades. This is just too many knives. This is the TSA's nightmare. I do like the Ninja Turtle concept. I know dragon human, but it reminds me of a Ninja Turtle. But no, these blades have to be omitted. You have too many blades. I can understand having like one blade, forearm blade, and one big blade, but this is too many blades. And oh hey, look, it's Marvel's Blade. He's here to ask me where the vampires are. I don't know where they are. But yeah, no, too many blades. So things I like the tribal aspect, but I also like that it feels like a Ninja Turtle. What I don't like, too many blades. And if I were to change this, remove blades. You don't need all those blades. 30 seconds. I'm almost tempted to play the song that played in Blade when he was at the blood orgy. Unfortunately, that's copyrighted, so I can't play it. In some news, I'm thinking about at some point upgrading to an XLR mic because my Blue Yeti, my Blue microphone, I'm starting to realize it probably isn't that great. It's good for the moment, but I think at some point I need to upgrade, and I need to get me an XLR mic. Doberman. Originally a virus type, Doberman is a hunter Digimon that changed into a vaccine type as a result of mutation. Like Sneemon, however, it remains quite vicious despite its vaccine status, living only to hunt down viruses. It's beyond the control of the average tamer. Its special move includes... Oh good, they're using either Irish or Welsh. Grularm, where it lets out a howl that prevents its opponents from using their abilities, and Schwarzstrahl, where it fires a black beam of light to pierce the enemy's body, destroying their digicord. Schwarzstrahl. Schwartz. I don't think that's light. Schwartz. So, black strahl. What does strahl mean? Please tell me that might just mean black light. Strahl. Okay, so it just means it's German for black ray or black beam. So what does grau larm translates to? If you're wondering why I'm wondering this, sometimes when I look at these designs and these descriptions, they'll just use random foreign things. Translation. Grau, so it's Catalan, no, German. So it means gray. So basically, the tack is gray noise. So, gray noise. Okay, so they're using a very... Okay, so they actually thought about the name. For those who don't know, Doberman was a contest winner, famously appearing in Digimon Tamers. From what I understand, Kanaka didn't want to use it, but contests are contests, so as for the design, we've got some of the old aspects, such as the ears being more like ribbons, which you see on some early Digimon, not too much anymore. We've got spikes on heel spikes, which lean more towards chickens. The eyes and the red and the black reminds me of the black arms from Shadow the Hedgehog. So things about the design. Also, it's got appearance. Things about the design. What I like is it's a relatively simple design. It's a dog with a bunch of, well, darkness on it. Although I will say it looks less like a Doberman and more like a bloodhound. Not a bloodhound. A greyhound. More like a racing dog. Mostly because of its slender appearance. If you want an example of what those look like, Santa's Little Helper from Simpsons gives you an idea of what those type of dogs look like. As for design, things I don't like, I think the leg spikes are a bit much. I think you can almost omit them because you already have the big collar. Maybe what I would probably do to change is maybe add some holy rings to the legs to emphasize that it needs to be extra holy because at one point it was a virus. As much as I want to say it's the perfect greyhound, yes. Let me show you what a greyhound looks like. So for those who don't know what a greyhound looks like, going off of Wikipedia, this is a greyhound. For those who don't know, greyhounds are generally the hounds you use for racing. In Simpsons, Santa's Little Helper, the family dog, is a greyhound. The Greyhound bus lines in the US are named after the greyhound dog. I believe they're originally a hunting animal, but I think for the most part, most people associate them with racing. But yeah, no, according to Wikipedia, the English Greyhound, or simply the Greyhound, is a breed of dog, a sight hound, which has been bred for coursing, which is the pursuit of game, greyhound racing, and hunting. And to really emphasize that it feels like a greyhound, again from Wikipedia, this is the greyhound as shown by a woodcut. So Doberman doesn't read Doberman Pinscher. It reads more like a greyhound. Let me bring up an example of a Doberman Pinscher. Here you have a Doberman, again from Wikipedia. Color-wise, it fits, but from the overall design, Doberman feels more like a greyhound. So to me, Doberman doesn't feel like a Doberman Pinscher. He looks more like a greyhound. but that's just me. Things I would change, maybe make the design a little less. So to recap, things I would change: perhaps remove the spikes, maybe remove some of the skinniness, because it feels like this dog hasn't been fed. What I like is the concept. I like the dark and the black arms aspect of it. What I don't like the spikes, and I kind of feel you need to add in more meat to the animal. And what I would change is probably feed it and give it some holy rings on the legs to really emphasize that this thing needs extra holiness to beat the virus accusations. So 30 seconds. But yeah. But like I said, Doberman, if I remember correctly, was a contest winner. I don't think Toei does that too often anymore. At least I don't think. I could be wrong on that. Doberman X antibody. We're going to read the X antibody thing. Its ferocity has increased, transforming it into an uncontrollably mad dog. The original Doberman was ferocious yet highly intelligent, and was considered the ultimate beast Digimon to bring down prey. The actions of an absolute master are needed to ensure Doberman X antibody shows its stuff, and even a hint of dotting behavior is no longer permitted in that relationship. I don't like it. So we got to say things I like. In this case, they're really emphasizing the Doberman pincer. This looks like a Doberman pincer. It really feels like a Doberman pincer. And for that, I'll say, congrats. What I don't like. Korn called, and he wants his hounds back. The spikes are excessive. You've got too many spikes. You've got this crescent spike. You got the heel spikes. This is just too much spikes. Too many blades. It feels like a dog you just added swords to. The design wise, this doesn't look like a Digimon. This looks like a drawing somewhat of a dog that they just decided to haphazardly add spikes to. This is, compared to Doberman, which had its issues, still felt interesting. This doesn't work. And what I would change, go back to the original Doberman design and use that as a better base. Not this, oh, I drew my neighbor's dog shtick. Also add an X because X antibody. You got the red in the legs. Use that as a base for the X antibody. But no. These wings, blades, no. These spikes, no. Well, in the X antibody, it's understandable. But not this, I just drew a dog. This is a lazy attempt at a Digimon, and I will not accept it. No. Especially compared to Doberman. This 30 seconds. Things I like. Like it likes ferocious. What I don't like, too many spikes, and they just drew a dog. And if I were to change it, change everything. Go back to the drawing board. Because this is a lazy approach to Digimon. This is a lazy attempt. Whoever designed this, no. Either you've got a problem with your neighbor's dog, or there's something else going on here. And with that, we're gonna go towards 30 seconds. Yeah, no, I was not expecting to go this fast on a Digimon, but I don't like this design. This is not a good design for a Digimon. The original Doberman, yes. This, no. Uh-uh. And we're gonna cap off this stream with Digimon. A puppet Digimon born from the database of American cartoons. Dogimon's body is both fluffy and durable, and can expand and contract like rubber to absorb any and all attacks. Though its appearance gives the impression that it is extremely dangerous, no it isn't, this Digimon is the definition of harmlessness, lacking any ill will or aggression. Dogimon's signature move, Distant Howling, damages the opponent's hearing with a large bark, draining their fighting spirit. Its special move, Ultra Snap, is a ferocious technique whereupon it bites down with sharp fangs. Why is there an asterisk? Oh! Digimon was adopted as the winning entry in the Digimon Web .art contest and was submitted by Kiichi Higuchi of Hyogo Prefecture. Oh! That's interesting. Let me look up something real quick. Because sometimes on Wikimon you can sometimes see what the original art looked like. No, I can't find it. Shame. So, based off American cartoons, it feels like Muttley from, how was it, Dick Dastardly and His Amazing Machines, those amazing flyers, as well as Wacky Racers. So it feels like Hanna-Barbera. And I like that. I like that it takes that inspiration. It feels like it's a cartoony Digimon, and I'm here for it. Things I like about it. I like that they really leaned into this is a cartoony thing. And I wish we had more Digimon like this, that lean towards this more cartoony aspect. Especially at this level. This is more of a champion, so you don't see these type of Digimon. This feels more like a rookie, but given where cartoons can go, it's kind of like the Toon deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That Pegasus liked. So that's interesting. What I don't like, I would almost omit the D. I would omit this D, or put like some kind of wife beater like shirt, or maybe even coveralls to show that it's wearing something. The D just kind of feels like someone took a tattoo and just decided to tattoo the dog. It's a bit much in my opinion. And if I were to change it, I would give it pants or a shirt, just to really show that, you know, this isn't just something tattooed on the dog. I'm going to give it the perfect, which I think it won over Doberman, again, which was another competition winner. So to recap what I like that they leaned into the cartoon aesthetic. What I don't like is they just have a random D on the chest. And if I were to change it, I would probably add a shirt or something to show that that D is something on clothing. And 30 seconds. And with that, we are going to end the stream. I think we did quite a good job. This was a pretty fun stream this time around. Normally I get kind of tired after a bit. But I think we're making good headway. We're almost through the D's and we're going to get into the E's. We're about to head to Dorugamon, which I like. Quick thing, updates. Still working on my review of the Discotheque Blu-ray. We're getting close to done with it. It should come out later this month, but there have been things coming up IRL that have been limiting things. As for the stream, keep an eye on it. This will come to a day-to-day to see whether I'll be able to continue on the standard stream length. Other updates. Again, remember to follow Digimon, the DRA remakes, Digimon Rumble Arena HD remake, Project Digimon. It is interesting to see where they're going with this, and I just want to promote them because I've been following them for a bit. Also, make sure to be looking up Digi Destiny. The guys at the Digi Guys do a good job. Digi Destiny is a fun little stream. Highly recommend it. May look into reviewing it at some point, but that's far off. But yeah, that's kind of the updates moving forward. We have, like I said, reviews coming out, slowly working on it. Hopefully we can get it out later this month. Followed by streams. We'll see where things go from a day to day. And remember to like and subscribe and look at the Digimon Rumble Arena HD remake. And again, if we make 500 subscribers, I will look into opening up a Discord for the channel. So, yeah, like and subscribe, and I will see you there. Before I end, if you're following these videos, I would like to see what other games you'd like me to stream. It's always interesting to talk with you all. And I would like to expand from just doing these streams and my reviews to other games. I know I used to do Sonic the Hedgehog. I might go back to doing the Chow Garden. Satoshi is is kind of lost there, and he is canon to my series. So, but yeah, post what you think. I may post into the channel to get opinions. And with that, like and subscribe, and I'll see you there.